Let's hope it works today. Welcome to the Sunday service. I am 6 minutes early in starting this one, but congratulations on being here if you're here. If you're not here, welcome. I'm sure I'll be welcoming you momentarily. I'm opening up my laptop just in case this goes into freezing mode like it did last week. A good way. Hi, Ricky. There's no good way of actually testing this thing before it goes live. It just goes live and that's the end of it. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be okay because people are starting to really file in very quickly. If you're just landing on the page, hit that like button so everybody gets a little message to say, I'm live and it's all going. And if you're not a subscriber, if you've never seen this thing before, then, click the subscribe button at the bottom. It's always good. There's a little bell just beside the subscribe button as well. If you click that, you will get a notification whenever I do this. A little thing will come up on your mobile. It's really good, actually. I'm subscribed to quite a few channels. Happy Sunday, says Fergal. Hi, Bob. Hi, Shane. Hi, Benny. Hi, Reno. I've never seen your name before, Reno. Well done. There's a video on my channel about the VW Arteon. If you want to view it, it's actually very recent. I think it was the last video I did. You can have a look at that one. What's in the pipeline for 2018? God only knows. Planning ahead is a nightmare of a job. I'm hoping to get a sponsor, hi Brian. I'm hoping to get a sponsor which will definitely expand this channel. I have plans for a new series of videos which is called Road Trip, where I take a car, me, and I go for literally a road trip drive, and I take you through the scenery and we go and get everything and cool stuff happens, hopefully. That's going to happen. That'll be happening very soon. I'm going to be doing a pilot for that very shortly. Hi, Brian. Hi, David. Hi, what's a crack, Bob? The same as it ever was, David. Hi, Bob. Nice to see you. Thanks, Gigi. Gigi, good name. Colin says, afternoon, Bob. Afternoon, Sean. Hi, Bob. Long time no see. You've been busy for the past few weekends. I ran my half marathon last weekend. That's why it wasn't on last weekend. And I did a personal best of 2 hours and 6 minutes for a half marathon. And I did a personal best of a new 10K time as well, which is 56 minutes. Or I forget what the 10K time was, 56, 57 minutes, something like that. So 2 personal bests done last week. And I ran a 10K yesterday here and just a shade outside my personal best, which is really good. I do love the VW Arteon. It's better than a VW CC, which is a sedan. Is it better than the old VW CC? I won't say better, Reno. It's different. Largely speaking, the chassis system underneath was the same, and so was the engine. So it's very hard to say it's any better than the last CC versus that one. I find the Volkswagen diesel engine now getting a little bit dull, and that's because they have to come into the fuel economy and CO2 emissions, and all that has to be turned down. So they can't really hitch in the face with the torque. And yet I get into the Skoda Octavia RS the other day, the diesel one, and it's brilliant fun to drive, really good. I think VW need to look at that fun element for the coupe in the Arteon, rather than kind of getting befuddled. The Arteon felt a bit like a Passat, like a business car, when actually the Passat does that job and the Arteon should be the kind of cool coupe, like the 4 Series. Any word on new Leaf in Ireland? Not yet, Colin. I'm still waiting for word from Nissan, and they don't have a release date for it yet. Then it hasn't been released worldwide either. We won't be far behind. It'll certainly be the first quarter of 2018. I'd be very surprised if Nissan delay it any longer than that, because it'd be pointless. Ken Fox, yo Bob, yo Ken, what's the story, man? Only joined now, lads. So sorry if the question has been asked, but will the i30... What's the question? That wasn't the end. You press send before you finish the question. I'm left on tenterhooks. Will the i30 what, Shamrock? Go for it. Tell me. I'm not a fan of the Skoda Octavia RS. Most powerful with its 245 HP. Yeah, I love Skoda Octavia. I think the Skoda Octavia can do absolutely no wrong. Never can it do wrong. Will the estate be on a channel 2017, 2018? Yes, it will. I've been talking to Hyundai recently. We've had the Ioniq. We're going to be getting what's the new one they've got at the moment? It's not the Kia version. I forget what it's called. Funny, the advertising on TV, the name has gone on my mind. I will have that in December, the new Hyundai. The i30 won't be until next year, though. So that will happen. It's coming. It's underway. Any idea when you get to drive a new Kia Stinger when it arrives? I have driven the International. I've driven it here in Ireland for a brief little run. I will be driving the Kia Stinger. I think it's in January. maybe February. I think it's January. There's just so many cars all kind of bunched in together, particularly in the January period when everyone's trying to buy cars. So it's very hard to get that kind of first run of everything and get it all in a nice orderly fashion without having to pick up 4 or 5 cars a week. Ricky says, I'm looking to buy a big car soon. Was looking at the Superb Sportline or Audi A6. What was your thoughts? Superb Sportline. Superb is a bigger car than the Audi A6, right? So let's just keep that in the back of your head now straight away. So the A6 is a big car, but the Superb is actually a bigger car. It's bigger in the back seat. It's bigger in the boot. It's not necessarily bigger or even more comfortable up front. The Audi is probably a little bit better put together, will have higher grade material. So you're going to have to go back a few years in the Audi to get the same level of kit and caboodle that you find in the kind of more modern Skoda Superb. So it's kind of 6 in 1. You're both in the Volkswagen group. Do you like the Audi badge? Do you like the Skoda badge? The kit's not going to be far off the same in either one. So just bear that in mind. If you just have to land in here, by the way, when you click the like button, a little like button there at the bottom, because it just notifies everybody. It puts it into the algorithm on YouTube that this is live and happening, and more people turn up to it. So I don't have to repeat the questions over and over and over again. Hi Bob, what's a good starter car? The cheapest possible thing you can afford. That's kind of it, really. There isn't the starter cars. The problem is insurance with your first car, obviously tax with the size of the engine and things. But usually most starter drivers are single people, so they don't have to carry around families and prams and all sorts of stuff. So the cheapest, smallest engine you can find, which is terrible advice, because I'm putting you into the most dangerous car on the road, probably because it's the cheapest car. It won't have as much safety equipment, but that's the way our system works in Ireland. That's the way the system works worldwide. You are penalised as a new driver, and so you're always penalised into the cheapest possible piece of crap you can find, but that's unfortunately the way we're stuck with it. That was for Guardians 115, so the good starter car, things like Nissan Micra. If you want to come a bit more upmarket and go Hyundai i10, VW Up, Skoda Citigo, Seat Me, I think it's called. There's a load of little cars out there, but they are the smallest engine, smallest safety equipment. Does it drive you mad when someone pours gravy over your spuds? God, no. Gravy on spuds is like the best thing ever. Are you kidding? God, more gravy. I'd like it to be swimming in it. You know when you're eating a dinner and the last bit of the dinner's and it's all kind of mushed, all the vegetables and all the gravy and all the potatoes and everything, it's all kind of mushed into the last mouthful. That's my favourite part of dinner, sure. What other way is there to eat dinner? You heathen. Why is it ideal to warm your car during winter? Why is it ideal to warm your car during winter? A good fact I learned that turbochargers are easier to start up during winter than naturally aspirated. Don't know about that. Turbochargers is just a big spinning thing that turbocharges the air around the car and the exhaust system going out. A car parked with the engine running is not the best way to warm your car. It's nice because you can go back in the house and have a cup of coffee while your car is warming up, but you're polluting the environment, number one. Number two, people just get in and drive off in your car because it's probably not locked. The best way to warm your car is just get in and drive the thing, because the revs going up and down will heat the car quicker. Turbochargers are not really efficient until they're warm. No car is ever really efficient with warm. If you test the CO2 emissions of a parked car, stone cold, much higher than a car that's already warm. Just so you know. When will the new Discovery Sport be available in Ireland? Should I wait for it? Depends what you're looking for. Discovery Sport is actually quite a small vehicle. Quite nice. Comes with a great badge, don't forget. Will probably come with a bag of trouble. I am seeing more and more and more reports of electronic gremlins creeping their way through Range Rover. I have the Range Rover VLAR next week, for instance, and I know already, because I've seen another report from a different journalist, tell me that there's something wrong with it. So, so I'll be watching out for that. The new Discovery Sport, there's a lot of choice in that market right now. There's a ton of cars in there, but if you really want to get a Land Rover, I would go the Land Rover Discovery, not the Sport proper Discovery one, or flip over to kind of go Range Rover and go for the Evoque or the VLR or the Vogue or something in that range. Discovery Sport, new one I think is coming next year, but it's not going to get pushed that much. Most will be pushed into Discovery. Should be some good deals on runabout A6 models at the moment as the new one is on the way. Don't know about good deals. Is there ever a good deal on an Audi? I was in a massive Audi dealership the other day in Sandyford. Fantastic place with an absolutely incredible service. But looking at the price list, looking at the cars we're sitting at the back, they're all basically premium. The cars are sitting there all on a big one. Thanks, Shane. Click that like button if you just landed here. 46 people here, only 27 likes. Click that like button in the face if you wouldn't mind. All it does is tell the algorithm. You are not telling your friends, your family, your cousins, your uncles, your aunts that you're watching this live. When you click the like button, the algorithm goes, oh, look at that. Lots of people are liking that thing, and more people arrive to watch to see what's going on. That's it. It's not that hard, like. Betty says, hey Bob, I passed my test 4 years ago, but still haven't got my first car yet. I got 4,000 in recommendations of 23. Benny, I don't blame it. 23 years old is a really hard place to be. I'm going to assume you're in the UK since you've written £4,000 on, you've written the pound symbol rather than the euro symbol. And he passed the test 4 years ago. Does the license last for 4 years without any insurance? You don't need to take the test again. Just checking. £4,000 doesn't. That's a fairly good budget. That's probably about €6,000, €5,500, something like that. For £4,000, I would certainly be looking in the range of the Japanese or the Korean brands of cars, because those are the ones that tend to put up with a lot more punishment for a long period of time. So that's kind of where I'd be looking there. So if you look at the Hyundai i10, the Kia Picanto is a really good car. I really like the Kia Picanto. I've always liked that. Then you have Toyota Yaris, boring but reliable, and you pick up, they're littered around the UK. There's lots of them in the UK. Peugeot 208, if you want to go down that direction, the kind of French version of the car, but really check over that engine. As long as it's got a reasonable sized horsepower engine, don't worry about the size of the actual engine. Don't worry if it's 1 litre or 2 litre, 1.5. Once it's in around 85 to 95 horsepower at least, you should be okay once it's a small enough car. A bit of a cold after running this for some reason, I don't know why. Mitsubishi Colt, great starter car. Mitsubishi Colt, my God, I haven't seen one of them in a long time, Sean. My new company car list has the BMW 330e. Thoughts? Depends on your mileage, John. John Tate is your name, so I'm assuming Tate puts you in the UK again. I have to assume what country you're from, I'm afraid. It depends on your mileage. I had the 530e here for a week. I thought it was going to absolutely crease me with electricity bills and fuel bills. Turned out I did 875 kilometers at the wheel of it. I never put a drop of fuel in it. I did put electricity into it, but I didn't put petrol into it. 330e is very good for short commutes. It will get around the congestion charges in the UK. It's got a lot going for it, but really you need to assess your mileage. You really, really need to be over that kind of 20,000 kilometre mark, 15,000 mile mark to be looking at diesel anyway. If you're down that kind of range, definitely start looking at the 330e. Sorry, I'm missing. Questions are flying in. Thank you very much. Click all those like buttons. Click the subscribe button if you didn't mind as well. Very good. There's also a link for the Patreon down below if you really want to support the channel. And there's another one now. PayPal have paypal.com/Bob Flavin. I have this new thing on Patreon or PayPal. Paypal.com/Bob Flavin. And you can click your support there. It's very similar to Patreon. Only it's once-off payment. Will we see electric charge at petrol stations soon? Only if the petrol stations are rewarded by something to have them there. The problem is it's a massive area that has to take over. It's actually a really expensive thing to put in as well. And the petrol station has to pay for it. So it could be 20 grand for a petrol station to put something like that in. And then there's the loss of the parking spaces, the loss of that area where petrol cars just come up, fill and they're gone, and diesel cars come up, fill and they're gone. Electric cars turn up, start filling, and an hour later they're done. You know, it's a big ask for a petrol station to put in. If they get something in return, if they get a lot more custom and they make a lot more money, if economically we can show that a petrol station can make money from electricity, then yes. But right now it's kind of cart before the horse. But you will see someone come in this year. I think Shell is going on the road putting someone in as well. Tobias, welcome Tobias. Hey Bob, do new Vauxhalls have worse reliability now because of PSA Alliance? Not because of PSA Alliance. Vauxhalls, Opels always had a build quality issues for a number of years. Also because they're treated quite hard. They tend to turn out to be sales reps cars, family cars. They are treated quite viciously at times. So they can get all sorts of problems. It won't be because of the PSA or Peugeot Citroen Alliance. It won't be because of those guys. It's just because just the way they're built. You will see a lot of shared technology. I talked to a guy from Opel the other day in Germany. They're talking about job losses, massive job losses, getting rid of duplicate jobs across the group. It's going to be a painful transition for a few years, but there's going to be a lot of shared technologies coming out of it in the end. Unfortunately, the job losses thing is just unjustified and unfair across the board. There will be job losses on all of the companies, not just from Opel, from Vauxhall. It'll be a lot of the companies across the way. So that'll be the problem that's really coming ahead. Until we see where the ball lands, we won't know what's going to happen with PSA. GLS class reliability when made in the US. I wouldn't trust anything made in the US. It's terrible. That's going to be a meme. I can see myself appearing on Reddit saying, I don't really believe anything in the US is made well. I don't know, to be honest with you. You need to look up. I'm sure there's plenty of sites there that'll tell you about reliability levels. We have a recall site here in Europe where you can see how many times a car has been recalled, how many companies are doing recalls. That's run by the EU. So I'm sure the equivalent kind of thing lives in the US. It shouldn't be made any differently over there than it's made from Europe, so it should be the same. Dennis, Bob, I just bought a new Ibiza. Great car, definitely no need for Golfs anymore. Correct. The Ibiza and the Polo are on the same sort of chassis. They're huge. The Polo was massive. The Ibiza that I was driving the other day is massive yoke inside. They're big cars now. Not small, big. Mazda 2, question mark, says Benny. Yes, what about it? Mazda 2, lovely car. A scry car. Used to be better. If you go back a few years, it was really good. Like, go back about 5 or 6 years, really good. Did you test the new Insignia? I had the Grand Sport. There's a video on the channel a few weeks back. I didn't really like it, I have to say. I thought it was a bit, a lot of buttons, a lot of tech, a lot of stuff going on, but just doesn't. Performance has been turned down. Feels kind of boring, I suppose. The ownership Colt was 1.3 engines, a great car. They got modified to death. Really fun. Marcus Hogan says, hi Bob, was in Park City, Utah last weekend, well done, and I rented a Dodge Ram. Great car. God damn it, what a huge big lump of a thing that is. In the US, the XC90 Discovery Q7 all look tiny. Bit shocked to be back in reality at Galway and their massive cars. It's true, whenever you go to the US, we kind of use it as a joke over here. We look at the trucks on TV, these Dodge Rams and Ford F-150s and all that. You look at them on television and go, wow, that looks pretty big. Until you're actually standing beside the thing and it pulls up and you go, that thing is as big as a van here, or as big as a rigid body truck, and they're driving it around as a normal car, and it fits on the roads as well. But they do have massive cars, massive engines, but they do have a lot of mileage as well. It's a very big country. If you've ever driven, when I was in Texas, we decided we were going to drive from Austin to whatever, New Mexico or something, which is just on the way. It looked on a map, it was just on the way. We drove for like an hour and we didn't even leave Austin yet. It was terrible. Does anyone know if there's a certificate a professional driver was told ISM did it years ago, thought his insurance was coming down as live C and E but no joy? As far as I know, if you get in touch, look up, there's a friend of mine on Facebook, he's a journalist as well, Tony Toner is his name. He's an ex-Garda driving instructor, and he runs Institute of Advanced Motoring Ireland, I think it's called. I'd have to check with him. Don't quote me on that one. But his name is Tony Toner. He's on Twitter, he's on Facebook. Look him up and ask him. He will be able to set you straight, whether he won't charge you to tell you what to do to get this certificate. But certainly I think he provides a certificate. So you will have to pay him for that one. But you can take a lesson with him. He teaches advanced stuff as well. He's worked with me on some of the advanced driving stuff as well. Very safety orientated. It's not about power sliding, although he can do all that as well. Check it out. That's definitely one I would go for. That's the only one I know is definitely someone who will put you in the right direction. Shamrock 1693. Jeez, were you born 1693? Whoa. Hey Bob, where's the next big show you're going to? Don't know. Wherever somebody asked me to go to. Hi Martin. Hi Bob, what's for dinner tonight? I have no idea, I don't know. I might do a vegan thing tonight. I do, every once in a while we do vegan stuff. A vegan day or a vegetarian day or something where we just don't have any animal product. It's not because I'm a vegetarian or a vegan, but I do like a lot of the foods from vegan stuff. And when I'm in training, I tend to cut back on all of the meat products right the way down. When I was training for the half marathon there, we had like 4 nights a week, we'd have a vegan dinner, some sort. If you're worried about or want to know about vegan recipes, there's a great channel right here. It's an Irish channel as well. It's the Happy Pear. You know the Happy Pear? They're Renault brand ambassadors, but they're actually, I know them. They're in Greystones in Wicklow. And they have some really, really straightforward, nice vegan recipes if you're really into that sort of stuff. It's worth looking at. I've done loads of that sort of stuff. New Holland launched a new methane-powered tractor. That's the gas of the future, boys, but it's actually the gas of the past as well. Apparently, practically zero emissions from the fuel produced from the waste. I'm not surprised. Methane is digesting poo. That's basically where methane comes from. Usually pig poo, but you can actually do it from human poo as well. It's been done in the past. You can do it from cow poo as well. So basically, you get a digester, which is like a big upside-down cone, and it just the gas rises off the poo and goes up into the digester and is pulled back around, and things can be run off methane. But the smell of the stuff from years ago, I remember it. But New Holland have, and I actually saw that press release. You're dead right. I saw the press release coming in from New Holland saying that they've actually created tractors to run on this methane stuff, which would be brilliant for pig farmers. If you think about it, you're a pig farmer, you can create your own fuel to run your agricultural equipment. My parents are absolutely set on a new Discovery next year to replace our 2007 model. The big question, though, which everyone has immediately started asking, is the 2 litre or the 3 litre? We'll probably buy in the UK. 3 litre, don't buy the 2 litre. There is an electric version of that thing coming as far as I know, or some sort of hybrid version of it, but buy the bigger engine. The smaller engines are just there to kind of cut emissions for the company in general, that's all. The bigger engine is much better. Lots of electrical gremlins in the Land Rover, Range Rover range at the moment. I see a lot of people tweeting about it, a lot of journalists tweeting about it as well on their press cars with little small electrical gremlins. So just be aware of that. Nothing wrong with Discovery. Really, really, really nice car to drive once you buy the kind of mid-top spec version of it. The entry-level one is cloth seats. It's horrible. What's the best non-diesel SUV type options? I have to ask myself that question again now. What are the best non-diesel SUV type options? If you want an SUV, you're going to have to get a big engine. That's the only problem with that. So if you want to do an actual sports utility vehicle that will drive up a mountain, you're going to have to get a Range Rover Vogue with a V8 petrol engine. There isn't really a good. If you go down the other range, Fiat Panda has a 4x4 option that will outclimb any Range Rover on Earth, and is run on a 1 litre. So 2 ends of that scale. Brandon says, "Hi Bob, favorite hot hatch." Favorite hot hatch of Ford Focus RS would be my favorite hot hatch, definitely. Followed kind of closely to a Golf R. VW Golf R is very close, but a little bit more subtle. The Ford Focus RS suits me down to the ground as just like lunatic stuff. Civic Type R, there's a massive debate. I don't think Honda liked me very much because of my review of the Civic Type R, the last one, which I found like driving a plank. It's like suspension that wasn't working. And I had one button that was, the car was hard, and you pressed the button and it got harder. That's really all the car was. Really bothered me. But I've driven the newer one, the one that's just released, and that is a really good car. But my heart will be still absolutely with the Ford Focus RS number 1 and the Golf R number 2. Type R would be number 3 or 4. Shamrock says, "Thanks Bob, we'll give Tony a shout out." Tony Toner, don't forget that name, 1960, 1st of June 93. I got you, okay. Has Honda got reliability issues now? Bought a new CR-V in 2016, had a lot of electronic problems, only kept it for 6 months as it drove me mad and rattled heaven in the dash. I haven't had any of those problems, but then the press cars tend to be much more checked than your cars. So I bring my press cars back on a Monday, and they're taken away and they're cleaned and they're fueled, and then they're checked, and then they're given back out to journalists again. So we tend to get that weekly check thing done. So if you're after buying a brand new car, it was just tested by a dealership and handed to you. And look, every car company could have a duffer, a problem car, an effort, but I haven't had any complaints about Honda ever, I don't think, in reliability issues, particularly the petrol cars. Don't forget to mention the Hungry Culchi food reviewer and lease. Is there a place called a Hungry? Really? No way. Get them in touch with me. The Hungry Culchi. It sounds like fun. Food reviewer and leash. Now, there you are. I never even heard of you. I'm sorry. I should check other people who are in leash and on YouTube. Congrats on a healthy, environment-friendly dinner, Bob. Yeah, just that's what I do every once in a while. It's just, look, it's no harm and it saves the environment one more meal. But then I just had some sausages a minute ago with the kids. Hi, Bob. Is a Toyota Prius, is that meant to be Prius? Goo. I take it English is not your first language? Well done. Toyota Prius is very, very good. Buy the standard Prius, don't buy the plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. You lose way too much boot space with the plug-in version and you don't gain as many miles as you might think. The hybrid one actually does a much better job of just keep on going. Hey, JBK94, good to have you here. Click the like button, everybody. Thanks very much. It'd be very good if you did. Hi, Bob. What's for dinner? Don't know, Martin. I haven't decided yet. Probably some sort of chickpea thing. Although we had hummus last night, so maybe not. Hello, Bob. Keep up with the good work. Thanks. You're very good. Look at that. No question. No, nothing. No, just a thumbs up. I like it. Bob, will you do a review of the upcoming Toyota Land Cruiser facelift? Yes, I will. That market is very, very important at the moment. Mercedes just launched the Mercedes X-Class, which I drove the other day, which is a Nissan Pathfinder underneath. It's a conglomeration of Nissan and Mercedes are getting together to do lots of work. Renault are involved in it as well. You get the Mercedes exterior, interior, Nissan underneath, Renault engines, all sorts of blends of things that are going on. Very capable car, but then the Pathfinder is a very capable car, or not the Pathfinder, what's it called? Navara is a very capable car anyway, so I wouldn't be too worried about that part. Where are we now? My God, I missed so many questions in like a blink of an eye. I know you say Hyundai probably didn't like what you had to say about at least it's honest and objective, which keeps different on YouTube. Correctamundo, Eric. I always be honest in everything that I do. Sometimes a little bit too honest, and I suppose it puts people's nose out of joint. But there's nothing I can do about that. I am the biggest YouTube channel for cars in Ireland by country miles, so I can't be nice about everything. It's impossible to do that. I always try and find the good points and the bad points of every car, but some cars leave a bad taste. Some cars, you know, they get a kicking when they come near us because I just don't like it. I have, for instance, the Ford Kuga outside the door, an all-wheel drive Kuga. It's got a 2-litre TDCi engine, and it's like driving a big wet box, and it even looks a bit like a fridge. It's not great now, I have said. It really isn't. Not good. Right. Brian. Hi, Bob. What would be an okay car for towing, like a caravan, or in Ireland, lots of small farmers have small cattle trailers for towing, similar weight to caravan, but would the Tiguan be ideal? Really, Brian, the question number one is, once you put a trailer on a car, it stops being economical. It doesn't matter how good of a tower it is, the extra weight will always kill fuel economy. So don't buy a towing car for fuel economy. What you do is you buy a towing car because of its torque. So the torque number matters, and then the horsepower is the one that will get you going, right, or keep you going. But torque will be able to pull the weight behind you. So a lot of farmers will go for an off-road 4x4 thing, a big car, and they'll have that out there. And they're brilliant, because they're going to use it for other things during the week. But for people who are towing caravans, who tend to just drive around in a car all year, and then 2 or 3 times a year, they'll hook up a caravan, they'll tow it down. Literally, you could get away with something small and diesel once the torque level is okay to pull the weight. That's really all you're after. So the actual brand doesn't matter, but bigger engines will put up with the punishment a lot longer. So the bigger size engine, like a 2-litre, 2.5, 3-litre, any of those kind of big engines will put up with torque pulling for a lot longer than the smaller engines will. Did you try the new Nissan Qashqai? I did, Ricky. I didn't particularly like it. I thought it was pretty old-fashioned inside at this stage. Things have moved on so quickly in the world of car interior, particularly, that Nissan was kind of left hanging there because it's concentrating very heavily on the Leaf and on that end of stuff. Leaf is where Nissan Qashqai will go. You'll find that they will catch up on the Nissan Leaf interior, which is exactly what they want. But Nissan Qashqai right now feels really old-fashioned and a little bit big, in fairness to it as well. Bob, any giveaways for Christmas? I was literally going through a pile of things that I have sitting inside that I have to give away for you guys. So I'm going to run a competition in the very near future. I'm after getting some more stuff from Firestone. I got some Bluetooth headphone things, which are big red things. I have a computer mouse, a BMW IE8 computer mouse. I have a jump starter pack thing, which is a little battery that's a torch and it's a battery charger, but it can also jump start a car. I haven't tried it, but it's as American people tell me that's exactly what it does. So I'm going to do that. And I have a pile of notebooks and pens and stuff. So we'll be running a competition on the 1st of December. I'm going to run a competition with you guys, but it's only for subscribers, and we're going to run it through Patreon first. So you get 2 entries for Patreon. So yes, William, there will be definitely giveaways for Christmas, and I will gather some more stuff between now and Christmas to give away as well. Some T-shirts and whatever I can find. There's loads of stuff, baseball caps and hats and things. I also have a Peugeot jacket. There's a Peugeot race jacket, very stylish jacket. I'm going to give that away as well. Is the current Range Rover still unreliable? That's everybody's asking lots of questions about Land Rovers and Range Rovers. Yes. Well, no, the engines are okay. The electronics aren't great. The electronics are still giving problems, but I still, wouldn't be as unreliable as some other brands, but wouldn't be far behind them. Aaron asks, hi Bob, any opinion on the 2008 Honda Civic 1.8 VTEC Saloon? Brilliant car. Absolutely deadly. That engine will never let you down. It'll be able to rev the nuts off the thing on a motorway and come home and you'll be fine. Fuel economy is not probably the best in the VTEC engines because people tend to rev them a lot more than they do other cars. And equipment level won't have a lot in it, but it will not go wrong, that's for sure. Rob Carson, you used to like the BMW 640 Coupe. Has anything replaced it in your mind? I think you're getting an old one, perhaps 2 years old. No. I'd buy a 530e now, probably first, but 640 Grand Coupe still has it, particularly 3-litre diesel. Very, very clean and tidy car. Love the look of it. I don't think it'll ever age all that much, so I think I'd be pretty happy with that one. No, I'd still go a 640D. Where are we? What's the next car review? I have no idea. Probably a Renault Scenic. I have a few filmed. Renault Scenic. Might do that Ford. I have something else there as well. A Renault Zoe. I have that there as well. So there's a few on the way. Hey Bob, when's your next car review? Be out now next week after this. It'll be next Tuesday or Wednesday. Next week I'll be doing the BMW 430. Is it 430 or 420? I don't know if it's 430 or 420, BMW 430, 430. And Range Rover Velar. So there'll be 2 reviews next week, or maybe possibly fall into the week after. But be plenty of reviews. Don't worry, plenty of reviews. I'm trying to build up a little bit of a stock of them just when I get to that Christmas point, because I know at Christmas time I won't be getting press cars over that period. It's like a 2.5 week period where there's no press cars to review anyway. So I'll make my Christmas video at that point. I know you all look forward to all Christmas videos. That'll be on the way. Hopefully get a bit of snow this year. Bob, what's your favourite car? I don't really have one. There's lots of cars for jobs. I'm not too sure what would be the favourite car among them, but 640D would be up there. Range Rover Vogue would be up there. Volkswagen California would be up there. Ford Focus RS. Loads of cars at the top of it. Have you ever been to Iceland? If not, you should do a road trip here. I'd love to, but the road trip thing is going to be an expensive thing to do. So I'm going to have to do it here in Ireland. I'm kind of doing it to prove a point. It's a new series that I'm going to run. I might do maybe 6 to 10 episodes of it, but there'll be actual episodes done in a season form. So I'm going to take a car, we're going to find a road, and I'm going to drive the road to a destination. We're going to see what we find when we're there and interview people and talk to people, like documentary style sort of thing. Hopefully everyone will be related to the car industry in some way or another. So like race drivers, rally drivers, all that sort of stuff. That's a series that's coming. Another series is coming is I'm going to learn how to drive a bus. Probably. Maybe. We'll see what happens after that. Hi Bob. Just for fun, say Cash Guy. That's not how you spell Cash Guy. Des. Qushqai. Yeah, there you go. I think that's how you spell Cash Guy. Still can't spell that word properly. After all these years, I think I know now. Andy McAfee. McAfee. God, I know it's Andy McNabb I was thinking of there. Sorry, wow, sorry I'm late. It won't happen again. That's okay. That's all right. As your penance, do 10 press-ups. What's your favourite car? That was just a second ago. Further up. Scroll up. You'll see the answer to that question. Hi, Bob. You're doing a great job as we're on crossovers. What do you think of the Toyota CHR? There is a review on my channel of the Toyota CHR, Dave, and I love it. I think it's really good. I would definitely buy the hybrid one over the 1.2 petrol version of it. They're both okay. I'm all right with both engines. But I think the hybrid one is much more sensible. It's run on the Prius system underneath, and it's an automatic. It's just really nice. A bit tight in the back and a bit dark in the back seat. but that's okay. I'd live with that because I'm in the front seat mostly. That's not really a question, is it? For God's sake, ask real questions. Hi Bob, Qashqai alternative. And oh no, it's a different person. Hi Bob, what's a Qashqai alternative? There are so many Qashqai alternatives on the market right now, and a ton more that are coming. There's a segment called BSUV. So BSUV is this kind of subsection of SUV. So think of the Kia Stonic as being a BSUV car. It's not an SUV. It's not really a 5-door hatchback. It's in between the two. You can get them in 4x4 versions. They're actually quite big cars. So have a look in that segment if you're looking for something separate from a Qashqai. I'd probably wait for the Skoda Karoq. Is it called Karoq? Just to see what that one's going to be like, because I drove that internationally. It's a really good car. There's a video of myself and Sinead McCann reviewing that car in Sicily. Speaking of which, I have to meet Sinead McCann next week to talk about another video. Martin asked, the question was asked further up. What's your favourite car? I'm your biggest fan. Thanks very much, Conan. Kia Niro, any opinion? Love the Niro in the hybrid version. That was a really nice car. Weird looking, but that's okay. I can live with weird looking because that means it's a little bit different on the road. Looks great from the front. No problem with their hybrid system. Hyundai and Kia are going to come out in the very near future and absolutely rule the electric car market. I'm telling you, Tesla is going to get such a kick in the ass, and I have some inside information on that one. Best premium plug-in hybrid on the market, BMW 530e. That's it. That's all I need to know. That's the premium plug-in hybrid on the market. Just buy that one. What's your favorite car movie? Oh my God, car movie. I haven't even thought about car movies. Don't know. I don't really watch. I just watch movies. I like movies. I don't really think about whether it's car movie or not. Cars aren't really a big part of movies anymore. They used to be huge. My favourite scene that involves transport in any movie ever is the tank steering in the A-Team. You know when they shoot the guns out both sides and they're coming down the parachutes? That makes me crease up with laughing every time I see that scene. It's funny. If you're bored over Christmas, a long-term drive review of your Leon, I think you said you had, would be good. Long-term real-life usage. Well, it's definitely long-term. I've had 11 years now, so it's a long-term real-life review, all right. Yeah, I must get around to that Leon video. But it's always the kind of car that said you have to wash and clean and, you know, all that sort of stuff. But anyway, we'll see if I can do something on that. On the bus idea, what licenses do you have at the minute? I have only got a car license, a standard sort of whatever the B license is or something it's called. And I have a race driver's license, but I don't have any other licenses. So I have to start out from scratch, I suppose, and get everything up to standard. Hopefully next year I'm going to do motorbike licenses as well. I have no interest in motorbikes, but I want to see how. I don't really have an interest in buses either, in fairness, or trucks, but I want to see how difficult it is to get these licenses as an experienced driver, as someone who has decades of experience of driving a car. How hard is it to get a license for these things? How hard is it to get a job at these things? How hard is it to drive a bleeding bus? I want to know. So I think it'll make an interesting video. I think you guys might like it. But if you want to support that kind of video, you really do have to support the channel. Patreon.com/Bob Flavin. There's a link in the comments below. You can give a little bit of money there. It doesn't take much, 2 quid, 5 quid, any amount of money that will help support the channel. It really does go to a big cause. None of it goes on a dinner. All of it goes into equipment. All of the equipment has been expanded this year. You can go to paypal.com/Bob Flavin and donate there as well. Or if you can't find it there, just go to paypal.com. And my email address is bobflav@thenextgear.com. You can give in money that way. You've been very generous. Loads of you have been generous over the last year or so. It's been brilliant. But really, to expand the channel more, I need to go a lot further than where it is now. It's very difficult. The amount of stuff that's been put on YouTube at the moment. A lot of yes men have come onto YouTube making videos. A lot of guys who have millionaire daddies are buying cars and making videos about them. It's really, really difficult point. And no one else is independent like what I do. No one. I'd be the biggest of the independent YouTube channels. Everyone else is attached to stuff like Car Wow or, you know, Auto Express or something. They're all attached to a bigger publication that gives them a bigger reach. So just bear that in mind when you're thinking about little independent me. Where are we? Hyundai Kanami, I think it's the Kona. I don't think it's Konami. Konami is a company that makes video games. The Hyundai Konami. That'd be funny though. In first. What do you think about the long-term reliability of the VW Tiguan? What's your opinion about the Ford Kuga? Thank you for your time. No problem. I can't pronounce your name, but we'll go with it. VW Tiguan, I don't know. Long term, I don't know. I haven't seen any recalls on them yet. Nobody's screaming at me telling me the VW Tiguan's falling apart underneath them, so I can only assume that they're okay. And as for the Ford Kuga, I have one sitting literally outside the door, a white one, looks like a fridge a little bit. And I don't know, it's not really my cup of tea now, but then just doesn't work. Just doesn't, it's like, it's a little old fashioned, but a little new. I love the entertainment system, that works fine. Gearbox is good. Steering is all over the place, it's weird. It's an all-wheel drive version as well, which is kind of weird too. But it's okay, but it's not great. JBK94, if you would get a Volvo, would you rather get a D5 or a T8? A T8, obviously I'd rather, in my brain I'd like a T8, but a D5 would be the most logical thing for my mileage. They have a selection of hybrids that are on the way and electric cars on the way. I would hold on to what you're thinking about with Volvos and just wait for those electric ones to hit the market, because they are going to be big. Volvo will get rid of the diesel engines and they'll be very quick to do it too. Lindsay McKinney. Hi Lindsay. Hi Bob. Great show. What would you replace a 2011 C-Class Merc Auto with? Depends. Have you outgrown it, Lindsay, or are you still in the saloon market? Do you like the 3-box saloon? 3-box saloon being the bonnet, middle bit where you sit, and then the boot that makes up the 3 boxes. If you're still in that sort of market, you want to move to something different, you might look at the BMW range of stuff. You could also look at the Volkswagen Arteon, the Volkswagen Passat, in that kind of area, if you're that kind of sales rep area. If you've outgrown the C-Class, you want something bigger and you want to get away from the Mercedes brand again, if you're looking to get... I always advise if they're in a brand and they've been stuck with the brand for a few years, to go away from the brand for the next car. It just lets you know either how good or bad the brand was you had to begin with. But outgrowing that, again, you're looking at the BMW range. You're trying to stick in that sort of upper market brand. Look at what Audi's doing at the moment. The Audi A6 is a gorgeous car, bigger again than a Mercedes C-Class. The Audi A3 Saloon is an absolutely gobsmackingly gorgeous, bite the back of your hand, beautiful car to look at on the outside. I'd be very happy with one of those, but then you might be too big for that. You might have grown a family, or you might have lots of people to carry around. Where were we? I don't know. I've lost you now. There's Lindsay. There she is now. Right. Craig Walker. Did the 2017 Mercedes E-Class sedan you reviewed have the acoustic comfort package? Yes, it did. It had double glazing windows as well, but it was incredibly quiet. I've never experienced such a level of silence inside a car ever. Hey Bob, what's your favourite movie? Depends on the mood I'm in. It really does depend on the mood I'm in. I would happily sit down and watch all of the Mad Max trilogy, particularly Mad Max 2. I love the new Mad Max movie as well. I like Blade Runner. I like Spectre and the James Bond end of stuff. It just depends on the kind of mood I'm in. But I also like Lord of the Rings and that sort of movie. Would you get the XC90 or get the XC60? XC60. XC90 is the prettier of the two, but the XC60 is a far nicer car to live with entirely. So Volvo XC60 all day. What's the worst car ever made? The VW... No, it wasn't. The Nissan Tida. Worst car ever. Ever. Terrible car. Absolutely dreadful car. Followed very closely by the City Rover. And basically nearly everything that came out of Rover after the City Rover. What idiot thought a rebadged Indian box would have saved Rover? Correct, and still MG is still there hanging around like a bad smell, and it hasn't even attempted to get anywhere yet. Honourable mentions got a BMW X6. I don't know, I kind of like the X6, but Mitsubishi Mirage and a Citroen Puriel. I love Puriel. That's the one with the roof, where the roof bars came off, which was really stupid. I had nowhere to put the roof bars. Peugeot had a few of them. Do you remember the Peugeot 1006 or 1007 or whatever it was, with the slidey doors, where you'd stand in the rain trying to get the door open and wait for the thing to go back? It was terrible. I'll donate to you 2,000 grand. 2,000 grand. Ah, that's very good of you. You know where my email address is. Thanks very much. What's the fastest car you've ever driven? What's the fastest car you drove? I don't know. I've driven Bugatti Veyrons and Ferraris and things. They're probably the fastest cars I've driven. Fastest I've ever driven is like 200 kilometers an hour, somewhere up around there, I think. I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention. Too busy looking out the front window. I did a motorcycle license for about 8 or 9 years ago, only for the reason that I had every other class of license and wanted to complete the set. I love it. Top trumps. Lovely. That's deadly, Andy. I've been riding ever since that day. Deadly. I love that. I have a license for a tractor. I can drive a tractor. Scania and Volvo have a compound in Sweden that allow press and YouTubers to review trucks and buses. It'd be a cool idea to kill two birds with one stone to get your experience. It would, yeah. It's just a question of money. That's all of these things. I'd love to do so many plans, but it's a question always of how much it costs, how long it's going to take, how much money has to be invested. So the minute I go beyond me, so the minute I have to hire somebody, and I don't like asking people to do stuff for free, wherever possible. I know loads of people offer me, I'll run your cameras for you, I'll help you film, I'll fly your drone, all these stuff. But you don't want people to invest hours and hours and hours of time into making this video and no one gets paid for it. So that's just not fair. I might as well chase a television career, if you know what I mean. I might as well just go to RTE or go to TV3 or go to BBC or Channel 4 and go, I have this idea I want to do, here's a TV show. But then you're restricted. Then I can't be as forthright or say what I want or do what I like once I get TV involved. And so my thought has always been to continue on YouTube. This TV has never been the destination. So to do these things, I need to get money. And to get money, it has to be down to you guys, Patreon, PayPal, any of these kind of systems out there, or a sponsor. I'm currently looking for a sponsor. I have a couple of people I've asked recently and they're very interested, but nothing has materialized as whether someone's going to be able to sponsor it or not. I prefer, if at all possible, the money to come from you guys on Patreon, because then I'm making it for you and I'm not making it for a sponsor. P.S. Get into the Stavros 696 truck mad. Never heard of him either. Sorry. I'd rather cycle than drive an X6, and I'm a huge fan of 4x4 person, but a massive car that rides horribly, seats only 4, can't go off-road, and is offensively ugly. Give me an XC90 Discovery every day. X6, yeah, well, I thought the X6 was okay. It is kind of made for the Russian oligarchs. It's made for the BMW security systems, actually. When I come to power, I'll burn them all. Come on, Marcus. John McGarvey. Hi, Bob. I love the Sunday show. Thanks, John. What do you think of the new Mercedes pickup Nissan Navara? Is it worth the extra over the regular Navara? Ooh, that's a really good question. You are basically buying, and if you took the shell off the Mercedes X-Class, that's what you're buying is Nissan. So mostly Renault engine, Nissan parts, Nissan chassis, suspension system. But the exterior then, the Mercedes bits of it, is the exterior and the interior of the cabin. And there's not hardly any panels are the same on the outside. So there's no comparison between it and a Navara. But there is a more luxurious feel on the interior, particularly if you go for the middle one. It's called Power or something or other. Progressive, I think it's called, is the middle one. Very, very clever interior, but it is a lot smaller than a Volkswagen Amarok. Now, the interior of that. The rear leg room is a bit tight. The headroom is a little bit tight as well in the back. They're not really designed for long distance driving. And our laws here are kind of funny. So if you buy one of these commercial vehicles, it has to be tax insured as a commercial vehicle. It has to go through an whatever the commercial version of it is called. So it's a different prospect to own one of these things in Ireland than it is to own one of these things, say, in England or the US. But that said, is it worth the extra over the regular Nissan Navara? Only if you really want that Mercedes badge. The rest of it now, they've set the torque range differently in the Mercedes, so it does drive differently. And next year there's going to be different engines as well. It's hard to say. I like the Mercedes ones. I'm not too keen on the Navara version of it. But if you're in business and you're trying to make money with this car, it's going to be 6 in one, half a dozen the other, pretty much. No one's going to care whether you pull up in a Mercedes or a Navara. It's all that matters is, can you do the job? So hopefully that answers your question, John. But anyway, look, CD, you guys got to get better usernames. Looking at the depreciation in used Lexus IS300H is scary. Consider one, but worried about the battery life on used ones. I wouldn't be worried about batteries at all. I have, and I can quote the managing director of Lexus Ireland, said to me once upon a time, I am not in the business of selling batteries. And so what he was trying to point out was that he's not really interested in whether batteries wear out or not. He just wanted to sell cars, right? And so they've never replaced a battery, to my knowledge. They've never replaced a battery. They may have replaced a faulty batteries or bits of faulty battery, but never actually replaced the battery because it doesn't work anymore. And so I wouldn't be worried about that part of it. But depreciation comes down to the fact that whatever it is about Lexus, it never found a proper go in Europe. Probably because they don't look like European cars. They look like manga things. I kind of like them, but they are a little old-fashioned inside as well. But there's great value. Lexus IS 300H, very, very nice. Hey Bob, what's your favourite song to listen to while driving? I do actually have a Spotify playlist, which I must update. And most of my driving songs that I like to drive to or like going across roads in are on that Spotify playlist. If you just look up, do a search for my name on Spotify, you'll see the playlist pop up there. All for you, Martin. See, I've got all these bases covered. I'm way ahead of the posse on all this. I can't pronounce that name either. Which would you choose from your experience between the Qashqai, Tiguan, Kuga? I'm from Greece, that's why I can't pronounce my name. Thank you very much. I would pick the Tiguan out of that list easily. Qashqai would probably give you the most reliability and very good fuel economy from the 1.5 DCI engine. But the Kuga has never really sorted itself out yet. Nice car, it's lovely. I'm sure you'd be very proud of it, but I prefer the Tiguan any day. Bob, 5008 petrol or diesel? 5008, that's a big car. I would go diesel on that one, Thomas. It's a big car. You're going to need a big engine to haul its ass around the place. Even though, okay, so it's not the biggest car in the world, but it is quite a sizable yoke. The newest one is a pleasure to drive. Love the iCockpit thing. It's really nice, but I definitely go the diesel route. It's just such a big car. You're going to end up running from petrol station to petrol station the whole time. Just be aware as well that there's AdBlue in modern diesel cars, and AdBlue reduces the size of the petrol tank or diesel tank, by the size of the AdBlue tank. So if the AdBlue tank is 5 litres, then a 55 litre tank is 50 litres or 48 litres, somewhere around there. So it feels like you use a lot of petrol, but you're not actually using as much. What do you think about getting hybrids? This is from JBK. What do you think about getting hybrids, electric cars, and then in 3 or 4 years you're stuck with a seriously outdated car lacking in range? I don't think that's going to happen. I just don't think so. I think to be honest with you, Tesla at the moment have a great range in cars, but the price is out of this world. And if any of the electric car makers like Nissan or Hyundai, which are going to, I'm telling you, Hyundai and Kia are just on the brink of murdering Tesla into the ground. But if any of the car companies, like a Model S is 80,000 euro in this country for the short range one. It's basically 100 grand for the one you actually wanted, the Model S long range version. If any car company in this country was to charge me 100 grand for a Nissan Leaf, that's ridiculous. Like, can you imagine paying that kind of money? So I just don't see this extra range, this big jump in range coming. We've had the big jump in range. The Hyundai Ioniq right now can do close to 300 kilometers. The new Nissan Leaf that's coming can do close to 300 kilometers, if not 300 kilometers entirely. And these are real world miles. So definitely, you need to check out the electric cars right now, the hybrids right now. In 2 years, 3 years time, 4 years time, range, I don't think it's going to be an issue. But I think waiting for 2 or 3, 4 years time, what are you going to buy in the meantime? A diesel yoke? And you're just back to where you started again. So I wouldn't be waiting for long range electric cars to come. We're not going to have long range cars until you pay 200,000 euro for the car. And the same applies for that Tesla sports car they unveiled there. That's a load of me hole. There's no way that car exists, and there's no way that car is able to do what it does. 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds. That's faster than a bleeding motorbike. It's just not happening. It's a lot of crap. And anyway, it's fighter pilot style. Like, you'd need a G-force mask on you to get that fast. It's and the trucks. Look, I think Tesla's clasping at straws. A few years ago, Lotus were going out of business, they were running out of money, and the very first thing to do was release a pile of sketches of new Lotus, released this car is going to be brilliant, this car is going to be brilliant, here's the Geneva Motor Show, here's our cars, it's fabulous, bang, they hit a wall, ran out of money, died of death. This happens all the time. Tesla's on the same route. I think Tesla's going to run out of money in the very, very near future, and they're in deep trouble, and they need to hit the headlines again, and they brought out a sports car, which is totally unfinished. So that's what you'll find. Martin, what was your first ever car? It was, the first car I ever bought was a Datsun Nissan Cherry. It was bright yellow, canary yellow, and had a 1.6 litre petrol engine, but was taxed as a 1.3. I didn't do that. That's just the way it came. First car I ever drove on my own, I was 8 years old. My father sitting in the passenger seat beside me, and I was driving a Mark I Ford Escort van. I was 8, yeah, 8 I think. 8 or 7 or 8, something like that. But I was sitting in the passenger driver's seat of my own. Manual choke on it as well. I had to learn the hard way, like. Hey Bob, when you're away in different countries reviewing cars, do you take time out to enjoy that country and relax? You don't really get that kind of time, Ricky, usually. If I can squeeze a run into it, like go for a run while I'm out there, I do. But generally speaking, it is crack of dawn, like 4 o'clock in the morning, leaving the house here, straight to the airport, onto a plane, land in an airport, go within the airport, pick up the car, so you're there already. Press conferences sometimes happen in the airport. You drive the car for 2 hours to a lunch stop, and then you have lunch somewhere, and then you drive the car to a hotel, and then you write an article, make a video, then it's press conference, dinner time, lunchtime, a drink, bed, up the next day, back on a plane, home. And that's usually what happens. If in the middle of that I can get a run somewhere, or if we, sometimes the odd time now when I'm out after the lunch break, on the way back I'll stop in some random cafe and just have a coffee, just to see what the place looks like besides the normal sort of flying around the place. But sometimes it's pretty good. Have you ever watched 50 Shades of Grey, Bob? Oh, nope, I never will either. And I won't read the book. It's all a load of balls. But no, I won't. 50 Shades of Grey. Are you kidding? Oh, Pulp Fiction. Oh my God. Mark, hi Bob. Is it worth buying 5 Series BMW yet? A lot of money to spend when fuel type is a bit of an issue. Best to put off a year or two, thanks. Depends what you're moving from, Mark. If you're moving something that's fairly recent, something fairly fresh, like 3 or 4 years old, nah, hold on a little while. If you're in a car that's 8 or 9 or 10 years old, then it's a different story. You may have pent up need of a new car that's breaking down the whole time. Diesel is not going anywhere. The biggest problem with diesel, so just to clear this up in one sentence, right? The biggest problem with diesel is there's too many diesels on the road. In Ireland, it's 96% of the whole car park out there is diesel, right? So everyone in every car nearly is diesel. It's shrinking. So that's going down. It's like 94, 93, 92%. We need to get it down closer to 50%, and then diesel will find its level again and be all okay. But the problem is there's just so many diesels out there right now that every time another diesel is added to the mix, we're getting more and more CO2 and more problems. And it doesn't matter if you're EU6 or EU5 or EU4, they're all filthy, right? They're all dirty. There's nothing you can do about it. They're all dirty. So if you as a person can afford to move away from diesel into petrol, hybrid, but particularly electric, then you should do so. There's never been a better time. There's never been more choice in the market, electric, hybrid. It's just people manipulate the marketing system out there, and and the people who are manipulating the marketing out there are people who don't have decent electric cars to sell. That's there. Just mark my words now. It's the ones that are going, sure, electric has no future, no range, no nothing. It just so happens we don't sell any electric cars. So that's what happens. Heading to the Highway with Judas Priest. That's a great song. Judas Priest is good. That's a good. What's the album called that was on? I can't remember. Really good though. John, thanks Bob about the Merc X-Class question. What do you think of the Mark II Audi TT as a second car? Yeah, I really like the Audi TT. Really good car. Don't buy it in diesel, for God's sake. Buy a petrol one. But other than that, it's fine. The diesel one is just, it's like driving a tractor that looks like a sports car. It's very weird. Good performance and all. It's just weird. You get in and you go, wow, TT, turn the key. It's horrible. What software do you use when editing and uploading videos? Currently I have GoPros and a Hewlett-Packard laptop, and the hard drive has enough storage to do day-to-day of a truck driver. So good piece of advice. There's loads of free stuff out there. GoPro actually have their own video editor, and it's totally free from the GoPro website. Storage is always an issue because the file size, particularly when you go to 2K or 4K, file size becomes this enormous issue straight away. You can buy, I don't have one with me, but you can buy little 1 terabyte hard drives from, what are they called? I can't remember what the name of them are. I think it's Seagate or something. They're travel ones. You even get them in Tesco's. They're like 80 quid. And that adds a whole terabyte through USB. Software I actually use is Final Cut Pro. I use Premiere Pro, which is the Windows version, so Premiere Pro works as well. And I use Adobe After Effects as well. I'd be very, very well up on those software packages. So I would count myself to be very close to expert level on all three of those packages. Maybe not After Effects so much. I don't use it as much anymore, but definitely with Final Cut Pro, there's very little I don't know about Final Cut Pro. But for you starting out with your Hewlett-Packard laptop, the problem is going to be file size. There is a Windows video editor thing built into Windows. It's crap. It's called Windows Movie Maker, but it gets it out of a hole. I have used it to make videos in the past when I broke my laptop. So it is possible, totally possible to make the movies with it. But if you look up Adobe Premiere Pro, I'm sure you'll find, it depends on what seas you sail, you will find your version of Premiere Pro out there. Somewhere you can try it out. But always obviously buy your software in the end. But definitely that's the one you're going to need to use on your Hewlett-Packard laptop, unless you go Apple and then you use Final Cut Pro, which is free. No, iMovie's free. If you have a phone, by the way, iMovie's very powerful. Did you know if you have an iPhone, it's a really powerful thing. Get an external hard drive for Christmas off the other half. That's the way to do it. Get a big external portable hard drive, slap it inside, dump all your files on that. But delete stuff when you don't need them anymore. Do you know when you're expecting to test drive the new Nissan Leaf? I don't know when it's due in Ireland even at that much. So be probably first quarter next year somewhere. They'll probably have a launch, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of hurrah, because there's quite a lot of hurrah about the Japanese launch of it. So yeah, it was pretty good. Jamie Flanagan, Bob Ski, James Ski, nice. What are your must-have features on a car? Wheels, steering wheel, seats. No, you mean options, must-have options. A decent sound system. I don't know how many car companies put in a big touchscreen yoke in the middle, and the speakers they put in are from the 1980s, and they vibrate in the doors. They're terrible yokes. A decent sound system will always be king in a car, particularly for the long drive. Even if you just want to listen to a podcast, if you just want to listen to the radio, listening through tinny speakers is absolutely horrendous. So absolute must-have is a decent sound system. It doesn't have to be a very expensive head unit, but the speakers need to be pretty good. Cruise control has to be minimum cruise control. And after that, then don't really care about air conditioning. Just open a bleeding window if you want to do that. But I don't really worry about that part of it. But comfy seats is always good in a big boot. I don't really have anything else in that. That Mike must-haves. Conan, Gartland, D, you have a shout-out. There you go. Cheers, Bob. What are you currently owning driving? Ford, what did I say it was? Kuga? Say it, Leon, is my own car. Hi, Bob. I've been looking at an SUV that my dad might be buying in a year or so. What suggestions do you have? SUV, tons and tons of SUVs out there. Depending on how much of an SUV you want. Do you want an actual road car that can drive in some muddy lanes, or do you want a car that can actually climb Mount Everest and happens to drive on the road as well? That's the two different kinds of SUVs. So like Land Rover Discovery can do both. It can drive on the road. It can drive up a mountain. Whereas we'll say the Seat Ateca would be counted as an SUV, but that's probably not going to climb too many mountains because it's not four-wheel drive. So there's a bit of a difference between the two. So let me know which SUV it is, but there's a lot in that SUV market now at this stage. What do you think of the Opel Ampera E? I liked the Opel Ampera when it came out first. I drove it. I was briefly, if only the Guinness records had been around at the time, I was briefly in Germany on an Autobahn, the fastest moving electric car in the world. We were doing 200, 100, ask Phil Hederman. We were doing 100 and God knows what speed down a motorway in all electric mode of an Ampera. I really liked it. I thought it was really good. It was the best car that Opel had for years, but the price of the thing was out of this world. I think in Ireland here was 90 grand or something for an Ampera, but it was way ahead of the posse, way ahead of everyone else out there. And then they hadn't got the balls to back it up. And now I think they're going to do exactly the same thing with the Ampera E. I think they're going to bring it out and it'll fail miserably because they won't know how to market it. Hey Bob, what's your most viewed video? I don't know, Martin. I think it might still be the Golf 7 video we did in Sardinia. No, it wasn't Sardinia. Sicily. No, Sardinia. I was right the first time. Sardinia, down in Italy somewhere, with Jimi Hendrix playing at the front of it. I think that's my most watched video. 700,000 or something to watch that. I forget. A lot, anyway. My views are kind of spread out nicely across. There's no one big, massive million hit video, and yet 15 million people have watched the video, so that's okay. I can live with that. But I still only have 26,000 subscribers. So if you're new here, click the subscribe button. Andy McAfee, you've asked a question before. Oh yeah. 8 terabyte Seagate 3.5-inch external hard disk drive, £179, online 134 on Black Friday, just passed. 4 terabyte 2.5 ones coming down around 100 now too. There you go. See, loads of external hard drives there, plenty to be choosing from. I saw one on the Black Friday Amazon the other day in amazon.de, not .co.uk. There was a 2 terabyte something or other for €80, so I bought that. It's on the way here. Your opinion on the previous generation Audi Q7 saw a tasty looking used 2014 3-litre diesel model. That's a hard one. Me and Q7 never really hit it off. It's a big car, you know, it's just a big, brash monster. You either like it or you don't. And the current one that's out right now, I'm not too sure on the back of it. It's okay, but it's not deadly. It needs more Audi-ness. There's an Audi thing that Audi do, and the Audi A6 has it in spades, especially in the S-Line model. But the Q7 is quite nice. I've no problem with it. It's great. Like the 3-litre diesel is a brilliant engine from Audi as well. Great engine. Just if you're into it, into Audi Q7, it's not a problem with that. I just wouldn't be my style. Peugeot 508 versus Passat. Don't even look at a 508. Go after a Passat. 508 has more storage issue problems in it. Oh, and every time I talk to Peugeot, it's like talking to the wall. You can't. There's nowhere to put anything. There's no bottle holder. There's no phone holder. There's nothing. It drives me nuts in the Peugeot, and yet it's a lovely car to drive. Beautifully comfortable, hugely refined, and the Passat kills it on every possible way that matters. So Passat all the way there, Kevin Proctor. Hi again, Bob. Hi, Lindsay. I know this is a car show, but on your videos you are drone footage. Are you the pilot, and what do you use? I am the pilot. I would be expert level in piloting drones and helicopter type things. I have no problem with that. I can get into places you wouldn't believe. It is a DJI Mavic Pro, the original Mavic that came out. I chose that because I can fit it into a bag, a camera bag with everything else. There's a picture on my Instagram of my camera bag. You can see it with the drone in the top corner. It's an amazing piece of kit. You can make it fly by itself. You know, it'll follow a car, it'll follow things around it. So definitely worth checking out if you get one second hand these days. But buy the Fly More pack. There is one battery is just not enough. I have 3 batteries on mine, and I regularly on a day's filming I will eat the 3 of them. And I'm actually going to Donegal in a couple of weeks' time to make a video as well, and that's come with me. So it's with me all the time, Lindsay, as much as I possibly can. But as drone pilot, I do an awful lot of drone stuff which is not used in car videos as well. So I would practice a lot with a drone, but it does take practice, and you have to obey the laws as well. So be careful of that one. It's a road-based SUV, thanks. I'm not entirely sure about the Ateca, but does Karoq tick the boxes for you? Yes, it does. Karoq and Ateca be kind of around the same size of things. The Karoq is a lovely, lovely car. It's, again, Skoda doing what Skoda does well, which is simply clever stuff. I would wait and see the Karoq, if you're in Ireland, wait for that one to come out and just give it a test drive before I'd even think about any other SUV, because it's going to be the clever one among. The one that sticks out in my mind as being a really good car as well as the Peugeot 3008. Definitely worth a look at. I would have a look at that too, but it's Peugeot, so some people just don't like the old Peugeot end of stuff. Sad the Ampera was the GM Volt, and the GM is gone from Europe. Yep, and Opel will be gone from Europe in the near future too, once PSA has finished pilfering everything out of them. Tesla's new Roadster to preview a week or so ago. Was that your reaction to see it? I tweeted on the day that thing was being launched. I tweeted that I was calling bullshit on it. That the video that they were showing was not the car driving. That was a computer simulation of the car driving, and that it wouldn't be possible. Physically, mechanically, there's still wet parts in that car. It's just, it doesn't make sense. The Roadster thing that Tesla's doing is just absolutely codology. Hi, gamer. Said not to Bossy, but she says, don't know what that means. Two people are having a conversation amongst themselves. I don't understand. Harold, do you ever think in-car sat-nav is worth the price, or choose a smartphone? Choose a smartphone. Just don't pay extra for the little SD card that puts sat-nav into your car. The only reason that is good is that it's embedded on the screen in front of you, and you don't have to turn it off, and you're not wasting a battery, or you're not touching a phone by using the sat-nav there. But generally speaking, the car sat-nav is so far behind Google Maps, and usually doesn't have traffic conditions or anything that's happening as well. Apple Maps and Google Maps do the best mapping systems in the world. If you really want something that's interactive, you can use Waze, which is another version as well. Not really that popular in Ireland yet, but it'll get there eventually. But don't pay extra for sat-nav in the car. At this stage, car companies should really just be giving it away, because smartphones are king with the sat-navs. Was on Amazon UK, Shamrock, but Argos has the same there. Oh, see, they're having a conversation amongst themselves. I read out questions, but there's two lads are talking about the size of hard drives. Typical lads talking about the size of things. Will we see less rear-wheel drive, right-hand drive cars when Brexit makes it harder to sell at a profit into the UK? No one knows. This is the QI moment where somebody holds up an elephant and goes, no one knows. No one knows what Brexit is going to do for either country. No one's quite sure what Brexit's going to do to the UK. No one in Ireland can tell me exactly what's going to happen to Ireland when Brexit goes in. It's going to be very difficult to do anything from Ireland. And the main reason for that, and most people in Ireland won't understand this, is that most of Europe don't really realise that Ireland exists. Ring up a German online company. Ring them up and ask them, can they ship it to Ireland? And they'll go, can you not get it just from the UK? It's happened so often, and the same applies for most of everything in Europe. Ireland is only starting to come out of the shade of England, but Ireland has a lot of work to do, and if Brexit goes ahead the way it is, it's going to be an unmitigated disaster economically for both countries. We are Britain's biggest customer, and Britain is our biggest customer. This is the problem. Hi Bob, on system from Opel is a piece of crap. Right? This is good. We've started well. We'll continue reading. It's radiating our brains by perpetually being monitored by satellite. If I don't activate it, I am still being monitored, radiated. Thank you. Are you? Is this a tracking system or something? What's an on system? Oh, Opel. Wait, no. OnStar. Right. So BMW have a system of that as well. Ford, they all have a system of that. You're constantly being irradiated in all your bleeding cars. You're also being irradiated by your phone, which is being tracked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week by Google or by Apple or by a mixture of the two. It is a consistent thing. You're consistently losing your privacy. You're consistently being irradiated by something around you. I don't think that the OnStar system or the BMW concierge system, whatever system you want to look at, is going to irradiate you any more than you already were. The only difference is they put a SIM card in the car. It's built into the car, okay? Whereas Ford's system, you hook up your phone to the Bluetooth, and then your phone becomes the phone that the car uses in the event of emergency. So that's the only difference between the two. So I don't know, you're being monitored 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm being monitored right now. This system right now, the Google algorithm is looking at this video and trying to assess whether it's monetizable or what. So everybody's being monitored in some way or another. And so I don't know. If you really want to be private, you may get rid of mobile phones, you may get off the internet, you may delete everything that's ever been shared about you, get into every single account and delete all of that. It's impossible. Most privacy is kind of gone at this stage. Jamie Flanagan, I sold my RX-8 the other day. Oh, you sold an RX-8? So one overtook me the other day on the road, and he had a big box exhaust on it, and the roar off the thing shook the windows. It was deadly. Pretty sad about it. But after Christmas, thinking of either an Alfa GT, Peugeot 407 Coupe, or a Saab 93 convertible. Buy the Saab. Buy the Saab. Don't buy any others. Buy a Saab. This is the second car I use when I fly home from the UK. Buy the Saab. Telling you, collector's item, 100% Saab. Alfa GT doesn't look as good now as it did when a few years ago. And Peugeot 407 Coupe, I get what you're going for on that one, but they're not rare. They're not really that exclusive. You'll always have to explain it as well. That's the problem with that. You have to say, oh, this is a 3.6 litre one. Buy the Saab. Buy the Saab convertible. A fabulous car. God almighty. Such fun to drive that thing. It's risky, but no more risky than your RX-8, I guarantee it. Russ, Tesla's new truck is causing a stir. As an ex-trucker, I feel it's the best use of the technology to come to our bread. It'll never happen, Russ. I'm telling you. If car companies can't get 300 kilometers out of a car, the weight of a car, you're talking about 800 to 1,000 kg, how in the name of God a truck is going to carry several hundred tons of things in the back of it and go more than 50 feet. Think about this for a second. It's just mathematically impossible. I think Tesla at the moment is just flying kites. They're just putting stuff out there and going, this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing now, and this is what we're going to do in the future. And everyone's getting very excited. People like Bobby Llewellyn and all these kind of guys on YouTube are nearly paid to do that. Okay, you're basically giving him Patreon money to be excited about Tesla, which is why if you look at his channel, you see owns a Tesla. He has a Nissan Leaf or something as well in the background. He has the Tesla system in the house. He has all these solar panels. And every time Tesla's mentioned, there's a video about it. So he's nearly employed by Tesla. So who do you rely on? Journalists. You need to look at the journalists who are not paid by anybody to talk about this stuff. And I can absolutely put my hand in the air and say Tesla's never given me a bloody penny to talk about Teslas. But look, it'd be brilliant. I'd be fascinated if real trucks appear on the road. And I've seen a couple of Volvos, I've seen a couple of Ivecos that are battery powered and driving around the place. I've seen them, but they're not practical for everyday use, and they're vastly more expensive than a normal truck and can only be used in certain situations. That's the problem. Be careful about buying a Saab, Jamie. They no longer make cars and car parts with Saab until 2010. Could be rare. That is kind of true, but not true. There's a huge organisation in the UK working on spare parts for Saabs all the time. Most of the parts came out of GM towards the end of it as well, so you'll find them in an Opel part will replace a lot of the Saab bits. So you shouldn't have any problem finding too many parts, and they don't break down. Saabs are an amazing car, and just keep on going. Sorry, Bob, I got a golden ticket. The missus said there's no price tag, so it's super important. No hassle, Andy takes a mail. Take it down to Argos. Take it down to Argos. There are videos online of test drives of the Tesla Roadster at the Tesla event, questioning the range, but looks ridiculously fast off the line. Everything looks ridiculously fast off the line. It's like Tesla saying there's a ludicrous mode because they know that we'll all say, wow, ludicrous mode engaged, right? When in actual fact, the actual 0 to 60 time in ludicrous mode is about the same as you know, some of the faster Astons and things as well. So look, I'm a huge fan of electric cars. What I'm not a fan of is when it's being manipulated to make you guys excited about one brand. What we have to be excited about is that the technology is moving on and all of the car comes right behind. Tesla tell us everything. Tesla is worse. You know, he released the plans of everything online as well, so you could download and build your own bleeding Roadster if you wanted to. So that technology doesn't exist for car companies. Real car companies like Hyundai, like Kia, like Nissan, they're working behind the scenes in a very silent, very private way. And when they're ready, they'll come and they'll stand all over Tesla, and that'll be the end of that. So I'm not saying Tesla's finished. Elon Musk is a great businessman. I've no problem with that, but I think he's taken some of the wrong advice and some of the wrong directions with the Tesla group, and it's not working anymore. People are starting to see through the cracks now, as Model S is nearly 5 years old and still being heralded as a new car. OnStar, no, you're not being irradiated. It's not ionizing radiation. There you go. Now, I don't know if that could be an Opel representative right there, but they say you're not being irradiated. It's just a mobile phone thing going off. What's your favourite hybrid car? Prius and Lexus. Do plug-in hybrids drive any different to pure hybrids or EV? No, plug-in hybrid drives the very same, but the range is a lot shorter on a plug-in hybrid than it will be on a proper EV. You're talking 30 kilometres max range. My favourite hybrid is the Prius, because I like it, the weird look of the outside of it, but it also does exactly what it says on the tin, does 70 odd miles to the gallon, easy peasy. Lexus, not really exciting. Okay, so there's a couple of sports cars coming from Lexus that are exciting, but I don't know. There's nothing. The RX is okay. They're all okay, but they're very Japanese brand. It's very hard to deal with them. But I would certainly go for a Prius, no problem. Kia Niro is actually very good as well. But you see, Hyundai will bring out their version. It'll all happen. It'll all happen in the end, and it'll all work out. Is there a car manufacturer that doesn't sell cars in Ireland would like to see make an appearance? No. There's loads of car manufacturers don't sell cars. Like Aston or Porsche are opening a centre here to sell cars in the near future. At the moment, they just do repairs. There's not really anyone who doesn't sell cars here. Not really into the kind of fast sports car Lamborghini stuff. They don't really. They're exciting. I'm sure they're exciting, but would I buy one? No, not really. Even if €1 million is when I probably wouldn't buy a Lamborghini. Well, I see some of the American guys come over here and trouble the Europeans a bit. That'd be kind of cool. Hi Bob, what do you think of the 2008 1.6 diesel with an auto transmission? Keep up the great work on the Sunday service. What do you think of 1.6 auto with a transmission? I don't know what car you're talking about. Oh, 2008. I thought you meant the year 2008. The 2008 is a lovely little car. That's a good little engine actually. Auto transmission is a little bit, depends if it's the robotized one or it's the actual automatic transmission. Robotized gearboxes are a gearbox that is a manual, but a computer is changing the gear for you. So there is, when you're accelerating, it goes, there's that feeling inside it. Whereas with proper automatics or proper DSGs or any of those kind of boxes, you don't really feel that kind of switching gears. And robotized gearboxes are crap. That's basically what's the problem with robotized gearboxes. They just don't work. They're okay. They're all right. I'd rather have a robotized gearbox than a manual if I was in traffic. Put it that way. But 2008, great little car, really nice little thing. I definitely recommend that one. It's probably one of the better cars that Peugeot make at the moment. Apart from, well, the newer ones are different, but the older one's good. Seems to be the Nissan 300ZX is a collector's item. God, yeah, that is a good car. Tell you what's also a good one. If you can find the Nissan 350Z unmolested, not driven around tracks like a lunatic, 370Z is absolutely gorgeous car to drive, but not quite as leery. Best car driven in 2017, bar the Quadrifoglio. Ooh, I don't know. I'd have to put a lot of thought into that one. I voted for the Skoda Kodiaq to win overall car of the year. That doesn't mean it's the best car driven all year. That means it's the best car for consumers. I don't know. I'd have to look back at that one, Harold. Sorry. Hi, Bob. I thought governments were supposed to be discouraging diesel, yet rather the Irish or the UK governments did anything to target diesel in the regional budget. They're all copying out. Correctamundo, Brian. That is called lobbying. That means petroleum companies have come in and go, you can't be telling us about diesel's got to go. But diesel has to go. The big problem for me is in Ireland, when you, as a business user, when you buy a diesel, you can claim the VAT back. On buying a diesel, you can claim the VAT back, and actually just putting fuel in it, you get VAT back off that as well. And the same does not apply to a petrol engine. If that was equalised, you'd find a lot of people would transfer over to hybrids and petrols. You'd find a lot more petrols on the road and a lot more electric on the road. I should be able to, as a business user, be able to claim back the VAT on electricity bought at now I know electricity is free on the streets at the moment, but it won't always be free. I should be able to claim the VAT back on that as well. I should be able to claim the VAT back on fuel for my vehicles, for my business vehicle. It should be irrespective of what the vehicle is or what it's powered by. And the same applies for British government. They should be doing it as well. They are copying out, and like I say, it's down to lobbying. Tesla showed a long-haul Arctic unit was thinking more from the local deliveries far from the depot. That's the problem. We don't have a long-range one to replace the gigantically old diesel units we have on the road in Ireland. Short-range rigid-body trucks I can see. Short-range rigid-body like Ford Transits and stuff I can see as well. But Tesla, just please everyone remember this, Tesla is an IT company that makes cars. They're not a car company that makes IT. So IT in a Tesla is amazing. Looks great, looks brilliant, very reassuring. They've thought the UIs through very carefully as a user interfaces. They're brilliant, but the cars themselves don't drive like cars, so that they're not brilliant. Robert Llewellyn will always be pro-electric. Sure, he runs on it himself, correctamundo. He is an evangelist for electric engined vehicles, and can no longer see the point of having anything fossil fueled, irrespective of fuel economy. And I understand that electric is a disruptive technology. I know it's going to disrupt the future and disrupt how things we're working on, and I'm a huge fan of it approaching. But if we don't do it properly, we're only going to get one shot at this. If we mess up how people buy and use electric cars, we'll never get the chance. People just go, that's crap technology, and they'll go back to petrol where they were before. So we need to be very careful in how we're doing it. So an Altreon, looks like it was Atreon, yeah, Arton it's called. CC, and thought the CC looked better. Any drive the VW ROG SUV. Oh, that's the... haven't driven it yet, no, and I don't even see it on the fleet to drive yet. They haven't had an Irish launch of the new VW, whatever it's called, even though they're advertising on television, funny enough. I still haven't seen anything about it. I'll tell you more about VW later on. I may text the marketing manager there. Any interesting cars due up before 2018? No. This time of the year, they don't tend to launch anything car-wise. It's all kind of look at what we're going to do in 2018 stuff now, because January, predominantly across the world, January is where people buy cars. It's not spread out across the whole year. January is the big time. January, February, March will have the most amount of launches in it, because they want to sell in 172, but it will have the least amount of new cars there. So you'll find between the two. I had a 9.3 Aero wagon years ago, a 2.3 turbo, great engine. It had a problem with cooking the oil in the strainer and the sump. Placing it above the cat was not a good idea. Usually had it on the ramp with the sump off. That's a shame. Some engine to drive all the same. Any stories on what changed from VW fixes to the Dieselgate engine's proper MPG noise driving ability? There's a lot of stuff happening on the net about this. Some people are saying that engines are down on power, that they don't have as much torque, that they don't have a 0-6 time they had before. This is from Dieselgate. Other people are saying that they get better fuel economy now after the fix. Some people are saying they get worse fuel economy. But all of it is kind of, hearsay. Nobody's really running to the papers going, my car is crap and I've tested it and I can say it's crap. No one's doing that, so I don't believe a word of what they're saying. I just think people are just getting their knickers in a twist over nothing. I was overtaken the other day while I was out running by a 2006 Volkswagen Jetta, and the smoke was pouring out the back of the thing. So, set fire to that one. Are you reviewing a car when you're up in Donegal? Can suggest some great roads for your reviews. Yes, I am, John. Myself and Sinead, I believe, are going to go and do a trip in Donegal for specifically a car review with lots of helicopter drone shots, and we have epic. We're shutting down some roads. I know it sounds really grandiose, but we're going to shut down some roads and do a huge big review of a special car. Can't say any more than what the car is at the moment, but it's a special car, a special review. End of an era sort of thing. It's going to be a very, very good review, and that will be out. We're doing that, I think, on the 5th and 6th of December, Christmassy thing. It'll be out before Christmas anyway. CC, it looks nothing like the CC. You're right, it looks nothing like the CC, the Arteon, but it does replace the CC, which is where people are thinking. Just checked that Tesla truck video. All you need is the heavy-handed driver and a short temper, and that's the touchscreen goes bye-bye. That's exactly it. That's what I'm talking about. These aren't, this isn't a truck made by truck drivers or made by truck manufacturers. Go look up some of the Volvo videos that Volvo put out over the last couple of years, and you'll see the amazing tech that is in trucks right now. Absolutely bewildering tech that's in trucks right now. Trucks are very efficient things. Right now, diesel trucks are really efficient. There's just a lot of them on the road. We will get automated trucks in the next couple of years, automated driving, and that's the end of truck drivers anyway. I wonder if, say, in 20 years, hypothetical, all cars were pure EV, how would the electricity production system be able to deliver and supply with coal and even peat-burning power stations over nuclear? If you build it, they will come. So if we demand from our governments clean, recyclable, power-efficient electricity, then we will get it. If we sit back and go, well, if I have enough electric cars, we won't be able to get enough power, then we just go, well, sure. What's the point? We have a peat burning station here, and I'm continuously on to board them on about it, and they keep telling me I can't do nothing about it because we need to replace it with something. Solar technology has never been as cheap. Wind technology has never been as cheap. Recyclable technology, we can recycle all sorts of things at the moment. It's an amazing system out there, and yet we do nothing with it. Brian Cullen, I love you. Well done, thanks very much, Brian. Brian has given us €5 through the super chat, which I forgot entirely about today. You can do the super chat on his channel as well. Totally forgot about that thing. But yes, I'd love to get rid of peat burning. I'd love to get rid of Bordamona, for instance. They have absolutely destroyed our bog system here in Ireland. It is decimated by what they've done to it over the years. Even though they said they'd been managing the bog for years, it is decimated. It's been stripped back to nothing. There's very little of it left. And still we keep on digging away there. But eventually we will get to the point. It can be done. Look, the worst thing that can happen today is if everybody bought an electric car. Right now, if everybody did that, we wouldn't be able to cope with the electric supply. But if over the next 20 years it goes up and up and up and up, we will get more electric supply. That's how it kind of works. Marcus, what was Land Rover's response after you drove the Discovery? Very concerned since I might be getting a 2-litre model next year. Was shocked to see so many faults in our 2007. Amazingly hassle-free. They didn't really react. I don't think, no one really cares if I say the car is bad or good, I don't think. It's not personal. It's just my experience of a car, it's my opinion of a car. I know I do have an influence over car sales in Ireland. Most motoring journalists do. I'm not special in that regard. And I can have an influence in the UK and worldwide as well. But if I continually see people tell me, like I put up a picture on Instagram. I'm Bob Flavin on Instagram as well, by the way. You can click and follow me there. I put up a picture on Instagram of the screen that showed the fault, and I got hundreds of followers almost immediately with other Land Rover problems, and all of them going, I have a problem, I have a problem, I have a problem, I have a problem. And so if you get enough of that, you have to be very careful of what you're putting out with Land Rover. I would be concerned about Land Rover electronic equipment. Any serious move to EVs would surely need immediate proactive infrastructure work that regard right now. Yes, it would, but there won't be a serious move to EVs right now. It will happen, but it won't be a very fast thing. It would be a measured thing. Again, I just coming across again. Thank you, Brian Cullen, for the €5. You're very good. What do you think, Bob, of the new Opel SUV? This is all the X's thing, the Opel X this and Crossland X and other X and stuff. Opel hasn't had a good car in years, lads. They haven't. The best car they have is the Astra, and they seem to be totally ignoring that car. The Insignia seems to be a bit lost. They're putting out these Crossland X and all this sort of stuff because that's where the market is moving right now. None of them drive very well. It's going to take Opel a couple of years to get moving again. Now the PSA has bought them. Stuff that's coming out right now is stuff they've planned for the last few years when they had no money. And it's very difficult to do. They've been bought out, and let's hope they make something out of it. But we won't see a good stuff come out of them for the next 2 or 3 years. If you want to see high tech in vehicles, just go to agricultural tractors. Correct, Kevin Proctor. You're absolutely spot on. A friend of mine was telling me the other day that his mapping system on his tractor means that he can drive into a field. The thing scans the field through GPS to see where the corners are and everything else. And then it starts to plough or harvest or whatever you want to do while you listen to the radio. You just make sure there's nothing out in front of it and it'll do everything else for you. It'll even turn on the corners. Sorted. That is a serious tech. Agricultural tractors are miles ahead. Trucks are miles ahead. Cars are lagging so far behind trucks and vans and things you just wouldn't believe it. Diesel trucks today have a slight lower MPG than trucks 20 years ago, but substantially lower emissions. The industry has been using DPFs and AdBlue over 15 years, leading the way. Correct, Amundo, Andy. If anyone's ever driven in Germany and you're driving on the Autobahn and there's 3 lanes across, but lane 1 is just a solid row of trucks coming from Poland and Latvia and Estonia and Russia, that's where you see the tech of the trucks. You see this really high-tech one that's, just cruising along, doing its own thing, very clean, very efficient, right beside an ancient Audi, just keeping up with it. Trucks are an amazing, amazing tech that they've got out there right now. What would you do when you see a car belching belching out. What should you do when you see a car belching out of a car? Who do you report to? You can't say the driver, somebody on the road, and cars over. You have to talk to the driver. There's no one really to report it to. We have an NCT in Ireland which should get rid of those kind of cars off the road, but it's not really, because it's every 2 years. So problems on both ends of that scale, but thankfully they're few and far between. The NCT and its like, whatever it's called in various countries, has gotten rid of a lot of those kind of cars off the road. Oren says nuclear would be the way to go for future. Big debate as to how clean nuclear is. I would be a supporter of nuclear. I think nuclear is a really good way to go forward. I think nuclear stations can very quickly replace peat bog stations like that. You can replace hundreds of them in a couple of minutes. So it's definitely a way to go. Why is this my recommended list? I have no idea, Henry. Maybe you just like the look of me. Good man. Tidy the table. There's some bananas. Let me on banana. Are diesel cars finished? I saw Lexus are running an ad along with these lines. I know, aren't Lexus very good? That's because Lexus gave up on diesel a few years back. And now it's like, oh, look at the Dieselgate thing. We can take advantage. Diesel's not dead. Diesel's on the way out. It's going to be gone eventually. But right now, it's definitely not dead. It's still going to power trucks and vans and all the long-range drivers. The guys who go to Dublin and pick up stuff and then drive up to Donegal to drop it off are definitely not going to use the petrol or electric. It'll take them 3 or 4 days. But if you're there's a woman out the road here who I met today who watches my videos, but she's in her 60s, in her late 60s, and she watches my videos religiously and tells me every time she meets me, I didn't like you in that last video and I didn't like the way you did that. But she drives a Volkswagen Polo TDI and she'd be looking to do 10 kilometers a week, right? It's completely useless to her. It does nothing fuel economy wise to help her, and yet she's happy with it. So I don't know if diesel is ever going to go away, but I think we will have to discuss diesel further in the future. A mapping system in a tractor. Well, holy God, what would Benji Reardon think? I know, when you think of it, this thing had 4 or 5 screens in it. Monitoring screens and torques and all the things about pressures and tires and stuff. It was all up on screens in front of it. This is a brand new tractor. It's a Massey Ferguson dealer here in town. And he's got some of the like 100 grand, 200 grand tractors in there. Long time ago, I had an Opel Ascona 2-litre SR. What a car. My God, what a car. And an Opel Manta. My God, a Manta is a deadly car. These were not the crap from today. That's the problem. You see, Opel had brilliant cars. You think even Zafira. The sales of an Opel Zafira over the years were a massive boon to the economy. But somewhere along the line, Opel lost its way. They went from being a local company. I remember when Opel used to sponsor the Irish football team, and every Irish football team member, Jack Charlton days, had Opel written across their front. And it was an amazing time for them. And then they went, Wir lieben Auto, we're German, we're this, we're that. And everybody went, you're German? I didn't know you were German. And they seem to lose it since that point onwards. And I don't know what happened to them, but they used to make great cars, and now they make some good and some like lunchboxes or something. I don't know. They don't seem to get it. Another question, Bob. I own a Volvo S40 1.6 litre diesel or design. Good car, nice car. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you like it? If it's the one that I'm thinking of, I would be up around a 7 or an 8 on that. Volvo, the S40 was a good car. Looks great. But they make better. They do better cars now than that one. But that's probably the start. That was the genesis of the new Volvo that you're seeing out there right now. That was the beginning of it. Still a good car though. Gavin, a problem with nuclear is the waste which remains dangerous for thousands of years, and there is nowhere in the world to store it safely yet. So stick it all in a Tesla rocket and fire into the space. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that one, but I know this, that peat and coal-fired electric fuel that we're using right now is far dirtier in the next 100 years than anything nuclear waste is going to be. I had a 2-litre Manta 2 bomb-proof sporty coupe, loved it. I know another fella here in Ireland, John, his name, had an Opel Manta he was using as a rally car. Really good car, I love the Manta. I was in the Opel Museum a couple of years back, and it's an amazing place. It wasn't really a museum. It was more like a warehouse where they just kind of kept some cars. It wasn't really laid out in a nice way. And I just got to wander around it. It was lovely. Some of the smell of old leather cars, beautiful. I drive in Germany a lot, 120 miles per hour cruising from Munich to Cologne, and I'm in a middle lane traffic. 155 to 200 miles per hour is not uncommon for big Mercs and Porsches. Good fun. What's really fun, Jamie, is when you're driving along the outside lane at 100, 140 miles an hour, or even 150. And from a distance, now the world has turned into a tunnel. It's like looking in tunnel vision when you drive that fast. And from a distance, you can see the flashing lights of a Porsche or a Lambo or something way back, and it wants to overtake you. I think that's so funny. You're driving so fast, you're still going to be overtaken. An all-nuclear Ireland would be epic. No more need to have oil or gas metered by powers that overseas to burn into homes and workplaces. With EVs too, it could be almost self-sufficient in energy. We would probably need maybe 2 or even 3 nuclear power stations to do what we need to do. But we have a gigantic west coast. We have huge parts, huge swathes of land. And nuclear is incredibly safe and run properly. We've had not Chernobyl. Everyone remembers Chernobyl. I remember Chernobyl. A fascinating place. I'd love to visit it. But that was run into the ground on purpose at the time. We do need to look at other power sources. We cannot continue to burn peat. There's a peat burning facility not far from here. There's a place where Boredom want to work. If I was allowed to, I'd put a drone over the top and I'd show you just how bad the bog looks, where Boredom has absolutely stripped off the top layer of that just to make power. It's a ridiculous situation. Anyway, Lisa Kemp. Hi, Lisa. You got a picture as well, Lisa. Very few people actually put a picture of themselves. Is it time to get a hybrid for family car? I have an '09 Mondeo that's on its last legs. What do you recommend? I love the size of Mondeo or something similar, please. Okay, so mileage is going to come into it straight off, Lisa, right? So if you're a very high mileage person, you'll probably have to stick with petrol or diesel, because it just mileage-wise, an electric car is just going to be a pain in the hole to use. But if your general day-to-day driving is driving to town, dropping the kids to school, picking up some shopping and driving home again, an electric car can replace it easily. Currently, the longest range electric cars I can think of at the moment is going to be Tesla, but besides Tesla, a Hyundai Ioniq, the forthcoming Nissan Leaf, a VW Golf E. Those 3 cars on their own they're 5-door hatchback cars, they can easily replace your Mondeo. Mondeo's quite a big car, the problem. The bigger the car, the harder it's going to be for electrics, and there isn't a car that's going to directly replace your Mondeo. And Ford are caught with their trousers around their ankles when it comes to electric cars. They don't have one. There isn't a Ford Mondeo electric. So your real problem is right now is the size of the car. Replacement wise, you can easily do it for mileage. You would easily scale down a Mondeo, especially an '09 one, which is quite a big car but not very big inside. Currently the electric cars will easily replace that. The one I would recommend you look at is the Hyundai Ioniq. The electric one is incredible, massive mileage out of that, followed by the Volkswagen Golf E, which is a really good car, very easy to use. It's just a Golf that runs on electricity. Really clever car. So there's a few suggestions for you. It won't take you very long to replace that car, and you'll very quickly get used to having full electric. Bob, a bit harsh on Opel. Let's not forget the Insignia has a back window wiper. So does the Skoda Octavia. It's not a great claim to fame, in fairness. I wouldn't mind that, but just happy memories now. So he says, Opel, the track, the decline to the ownership by GM and how much direct control is being exercised from the US. The more the US micromanages, the more it went downhill. That's what happens, unfortunately, with all US companies that own a European company. They micromanage everything till they drive it into the ground and it runs out of business. I think PSA will pick it up and run with it and do a very good job there. We'll see it over the next 2 or 3 years. It's very hard to determine right now because right now they're in flux. There's a lot of crossover jobs, a lot of jobs being done by PSA that they don't need Opel to do because PSA are doing them already. And the same applies the other way around. Opel are doing jobs that PSA don't need to do. So duplication of employment is going to be a big issue. Factory shutdowns will happen as well, but we'll see what happens with Brexit and stuff. Read in the paper that 10 people have ordered new M5. That's horseshit. Sorry, I won't say it. I'm sure it's the paper of record. The Irish Times were on the launch, and so they've said that 10 people have already ordered it. You can immediately discount probably 3 to 4 of those going straight to dealers, right? So BMW dealers in Ireland will buy M5s for the managing director to drive around in, right? So maybe up to half of that is going directly to a dealer. Then you'll have 2 people that I can probably think of off the top of my head who will buy them to collect them, and I might know one of them. And then BMW Ireland themselves will buy one to be on a press fleet or to be on a tour fleet, maybe even two. So they'll have one that will tour the country in dealerships for people to drive. They'll have one going to shows, going to car shows and so on. And so there's your 10. There's your 10 already ordered. Now, if BMW came to me, and I'm inviting BMW to do this at any point, come to me and tell me the 10 actual end user customers who have ordered a BMW 5 Series, I'll eat my words very quickly. But yes, it says 10 people have ordered BMW M5. Depends on what you count as a person. Apparently those 10 Irish people will have to pay over $2,000 in tax. What's tax? It's a 100 grand car. $2,000 in tax is nothing. That's just going down, walking out money. That's going up to town on the Saturday night money. E63 is one tax band lower. I would, to be honest with you, I'd go and buy an original Mark 1 M5, you'd be better off. Is tidal not better option? We're surrounded by rough, choppy waters. If we can make the technology work in tidal, anything that is renewable energy is always good. A mix of all of these things is just as good. If Lisa likes the size of a Mondeo, then surely an Octavia or Superb would be good. Correct Mundo, Brian, but they don't have an electric one or even a hybrid one of either one of those. But yes, Octavia or Superb in the Skoda range would also be a good replacement, Lisa, for your Mondeo. We should use a combination of wind and solar. Wave energy is coming along, but still not there yet. As you mentioned earlier, it's the lobbying that's slowing it down. Correct Mundo, Gavin, when there's money involved, when there's cash, and all we have to do is get re-elected, boys, then you'll find that they'll do nothing. Look at Maurice McCabe trial or the system at the moment, the way he was treated. And you know all about don't upset the apple cart. Do they sell the Ford Fusion Mondeo hybrid in Ireland, EU? That might be an option. I don't think so. They don't sell a hybrid or electric car here in Ireland, do they? Thanks for that, Bob. I will have a look at the Ioniq. I was looking at the Superb also, a petrol one. Good idea, Lisa. Just mentioned that further back up there. If you scroll back up, someone mentioned the Skoda Octavia and the Superb as replacement for your car. CD Models just gave me $5 US. Thank you very much. CD Models, you're very kind. I love the way that pops up on the screen. Sorry for not getting to everybody. I'm flying. I'm going on there as quick as I can. When dealing with different manufacturers for press matters, which one do you like to deal with the most, as the most open to allowing you to work away, knowing you're going to have Skoda? Skoda would have the most amount of. I could go to Skoda with telling them I want to drop a car off a cliff somewhere, and they go, yeah, okay. It's the way Skoda is, and Skoda's like that internationally as well. And you can see by Skoda sales rise in Ireland all the time, every time they bring in a new car, and that's because they're more open to kind of cool stuff that journalists want to do, and some oddball things that journalists don't want to do. Most of the time, nationals go at them and go, I want to do this, and they go, yeah, sure, you do that, yeah. And national papers will get to drive a car across the country, electric motor, whatever it is, with some other car company, and they won't even look at the internet. But Skoda have this way of just going, here's our idea, let's do this, and we'll do it. Demo M5 ordered by dealers, M5s. 5 demo M5s ordered then by dealers. I don't know, Andy. The thing is, the M5s, they say there's 10 of them been ordered in Ireland. I don't know whether 10 people would order a car sight unseen. I think it just sounds like a ridiculous amount of money to be spending on a car they haven't driven and they don't even want to like. But generally speaking, most cars in Ireland that are coming out that are brand new, if you look at any cars been launched in the last few weeks, you'll find that a lot of those cars are going straight to dealers. They said the order books are full for the next 6 months. They're going to dealers. Dealers have bought them and they know they're going to sell them. There's another answer for you, Lisa. You should definitely look at the Superb based on Bob's video, which I watched. I definitely, high marks. Thanks very much. You're very good at watching the videos as well. My aunt here in Galway has a BMW using her house to launch a new car in the next 1 to 3 months. She's got a madhouse. Any ideas? Could be maybe what? My aunt here in Galway has a BMW. Has BMW using her house to launch a car in the next 1 to 3 months? She's got a madhouse. Any idea what it could be? Maybe X2. I have no idea, Marcus, but I'm sure I'll get an invite. So I might be down in your aunt's house in the next few months. BMW tends to do something a little bit different most of the time when it comes to car launches and kind of dinners and nights out and events and things. They do something a little bit different, and I kind of like that. For me, generally, I just want access to the car. I don't care about, dinners or lunches or once I get a go with the car is the important part because I need to do the video for you guys. And so the way I'm treated doesn't really matter. Just give me, I'd be happy if I got chicken in a basket and access to the car. That's okay. Plenty of coffee and a bit of chicken and a bit of something, you know, nice to eat, and I'd be okay. But I don't really need to be going half across the country. But it'd be nice to go down to Galway for a launch of a car. It's kind of cool. Our Audi going to launch a new A4 that looks radically different on the exterior and it was brought in the last 10 years. Paul, Audi and radical are two ends of a scale. Audi don't tend to do radical anything. It's evolution, not revolution. They tend to evolve the car into something else, to learn from the last one and make another one a bit different. So they don't tend to do a revolutionary A4. Generally what they do is they launch a new car entirely, like the A3, and then halfway through its life they'll bring out something that looks revolutionary, but it isn't really. So I don't imagine there's going to be a revolutionary Audi A4, but it won't radically different. The A4 sells in big numbers, so they're not going to radically alter that car. So it does still have sales, but that's not where the big sales are at the moment. Marcus says, I'll finally get to meet you at my aunt's house, so I should warn you that my 2007 Swift is mad 90 horsepower beast. Great car, Swift. Brilliant. That'd be good. I don't know what's going on in Galway. No, look, these things are all planned months in advance before we get told about what's launched and what's not launched. It could be a dealer launch. It could be a thing where they're going down to the Galway dealers of BMW to launch something down there. It might be the M5. It could be any of those kind of cars. It'll be something special. I'm sure it's BMW. It's always something special. It's not going to be an EV if it's in Galway. I don't think so. It won't be that many charge points on the go. There's a few though. Audi R8. Well, if it's BMW, it's not an Audi R8. What pre-production concept car have you been most disappointing by? The final revision came out for almost everything. The only car company that ever releases a pre-production sketch of a car and then goes ahead and makes it is Citroen. They're the only ones I've ever seen really do it. Everyone else kind of makes a car in concepty and then gets released. The other one that I like the look of, because I met the actual designer of the car, is the Golf 7. I met the real designer, and he sketched me an original Golf 7 sketch. It's on my wall inside in the office. But after that, there's almost everything that comes out. You see those impossibly big wheels that fill the arches, not a beautiful thing. Then it comes out, it's like nothing like that. They're launching a new car apparently on the roof of her annex. This is the house in Galway. This is in the next 1 to 3 months. So January, we're talking about February. Anyway, whenever. I want to say it's been a pleasure watching you live, Bob. I hope you keep up the great work you're brought to computer screens. Cheers. Thank you very much to Turbo Warrior. Very good. Bob, I have a friend who is looking for a new automatic, not too big or too pricey, preferably with a bit of height. Reasonable boot, is moving up from Fiat Tipo hatch. Any thoughts? Move away from Fiat Tipo, it's a great car. No, it's not, actually. The new one is good, though. New automatic, not too big, not too pricey, preferably with a bit of height. That can be tricky. You're going to be stuck to the Skoda Karoq. There's an automatic in that one. I drove it in Sicily with Sinead McCann, looking very hungover. What else would be in that kind of height? I have to think about that one. Come back to me on that one. You do it with me, Brian. Have you ever been to any of the cars and coffee events in Ireland? I have. I was at a couple of them. One up in Sandyford a few weeks back, or a few months back. I was at that one. I don't know about them. The problem is I get so many messages. I mean, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, I get hundreds of messages. It's nearly impossible to discern which one I'm supposed to be looking at and which one I didn't. So if somebody emails me directly, like bobflav@thenextgear.com, you've all got my email address, and it comes straight to me. So if you email me directly and tell me, can you come to this on Sunday? And I'll tell you straight away if I can or not. If it goes into my diary, I'll be there. So if you want me to come along to your cars and coffee at some stage, and it's within reasonable distance of Portlaoise, not that I have to drive for 5 hours up to the top half of Ireland or something. But if it's in a reasonable distance on a Sunday, I'll certainly come and have a little poke about at your cars and coffee cars. I'd love to. And I'll be there for selfies and things. It's all the usual way that things happen. I've been to Limerick. I was in Limerick one night. I went out to Limerick one. It was dark. It was lovely. It was actually quite a nice little night. I was in that one before. I've never been to Cork's ones. No, I haven't. That's for sure. Roads go too poor for an M5. If the roads are too poor for an M5, then the M5 will not be launched here. Actually, most of the time, most car companies finish their suspension testing in Ireland. That's why if you go down around Cork, Kerry, Ring of Kerry, Galway, you will always meet a camouflaged Range Rover, Land Rover, Porsche do it, Aston Martin do it, BMW do it, loads of them. If you hang around the ferry terminal up there, you'll see all sorts of cars getting off during the summer. Next time, can we see the Golf 7 sketch, please? Yes. Hang on. Tell you what, hold on a second. I'll get you the Golf 7 sketch now, right? But while I'm there, will you click the like button and have a check at the Patreon link? I'll be back in a second. Amuse yourselves there. I'll be back in a second. Don't go anywhere. Amuse yourselves. 2 more minutes. You're being very good. All right, hold on. Come back now. Put my mic back on. Hope you all amuse yourselves there while I was minding yourself. You know you can do super chat. That's why I'm putting my mic on here now. You can do a super chat thing, which some people have already given money to. You can do Patreon, which is very good. I have a link there in the comments below, and PayPal. So what I'm going to show you is an original sketch by the Golf designer, the man who designed the Golf 7. Really nice guy. And I handed him, on the night of the launch, I handed him a notebook. We got a Volkswagen notebook on the day for taking notes in. I handed him a notebook and I handed him a pen, just a big pen. And I said, listen, while you're there, can you sketch the Golf 7? And he said, yeah, sure, why not? And he started to sketch and he was chatting away to me. And in that length of time, he just flipped open the 2 pages and out came that. So there's the original sketch by the designer, signed here in the bottom corner as well, by the designer of the Golf 7 as it was, as a production version. So you can see it there with the impossibly big wheels. You can see the all sketch lines. There's the signature. And you can see the VW Das Auto thing up here, which is because it's just a notebook. There's a line down the center because it's just a notebook flipped open. And he drew in all these Volkswagen signs and Golf 7 written across here. And I know it's all backward for you. I'm sorry about that. But there it is. That's the Golf 7 original sketch. Beautifully done by the original designer. It's even got the stuff written on the back of it here, where he drew a line through it. But all his signatures and everything are on it. And I framed it. I brought it home. And no one else thought of doing the same thing on the night. Funny. And ever since, I've been asking, when I meet the designer, the actual designer of the car, I always ask him to sketch me the car. And I've got 6 sketches now by various designers that I have to frame still. I got the BMW X6. I got another BMW. I was the second BMW. A few of them, and I got another couple of Volkswagen ones. I got a Skoda one once as well. So very hard. Often these guys won't sketch. A lot of these guys don't sketch anymore. I actually use pen and paper to sketch. They do it in CAD design and things. So very hard to get these guys to actually sketch things. But I did in the end. Now, sorry, I'm coming back up here again. I'll go through the last couple of questions, then we're done, right? That was for Andy, by the way. OVO Cash TV is giving away 3 iPhone 8s. That is absolute horseshite. You are not. Don't be stupid. Nobody gives away an iPhone. Nothing. Don't sign up to that. Don't click that link. Don't do anything. It's nothing. You'll never win anything there. TVR, they used to make the way. That's right, that's true, TVR. God, I forgot all about TVR. They used to sketch a design, then just go and make it over in the corner, right there in the shed, while they were sketching the thing, and then they'd remake it when they broke it again. Healy Pass is a true test for suspension and just about everything else. That's correct, Russ. If you sit down on Healy Pass, I know lads who go down to Healy Pass in the summertime with a long lens camera, just take pictures of the cars passing through on test. Golf 7 sketch is class. Yeah, it is class, isn't it? Hi, Bob. Big fans. This is H1. Thanks, H1. Deadly. Pleasure to watch Sunday service as always. Thanks for the answer my questions. Super chat next time if BMW do a launch car at my aunt's house. Look forward to seeing you. Oh, yeah, it'd be great. It'd be grand to be down there. Hi, Bob. When you're going to test the Volvo XC40, I saw one and I tweeted a picture of one here in Ireland that was going along to some event or other, and I got in fierce trouble for it. It caused war because I was the first one in Ireland to see the bleeding thing, the XC40. So they were all a bit annoyed with that. But I don't care. That's my job. If you put a car out where I can see it, I'm going to take a picture of it if I like it. Will the Sunday Service be back next week? Yes, it will. I'm going to do a run of season of this one. I couldn't do last week. I was doing the half marathon last week. This next Sunday, it will be on next Sunday just as normal. So you can do a Patreon thing, which is in the link below there. You can go onto Patreon and give like €2 or €5 or €10, whatever you can. You will get my utmost deepest gratitude, but it will go towards equipment. It always goes towards equipment. You can go to paypal.com/Bob Flavin, which now is a direct link to me. You can give just a one-off payment of whatever you like. Some people have been very, very good and very kind on PayPal. It'd be brilliant if you could. There is Super Chat right here, which a couple of people have already given me Super Chat today again, which is fabulous, which does pay for the time to put in for this. Obviously, see 118 minutes on the live stream at this stage. So I do put in a hell of a lot of effort into these Sunday services. Great. Last few have been like over 1,500 people watching 2 hours of stuff. It's been absolutely brilliant. I'd be delighted if you continue going. I have some offers on at the moment, which people are coming at me with. A fella asked me to do a radio show of the Sunday service thing. Which would be good as well, I suppose, in its own way. And there's a good few plans for 2018 to get done, and I really appreciate the support you guys have given me over the last, since the start of Sunday service, the last few months, which has been absolutely brilliant. It's been fabulous dealing with all of you on every occasion. So any support you can give the channel is always great. At the very least, if you click that subscribe button at the bottom and click the like button so everybody knows that these kind of things happen, I would be delighted with at least that much. As always, the videos remain absolutely free. I don't expect, if you can't afford, you don't pay. That's how it works around here. And I will always remain as long as I can in that respect. But until the next time we see each other, I will see you all on the far side.